Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Fiber Broadband Association webinar. Today's webinar, Streamlining Fiber Network Design and Deployment, a Collaborative Approach, is presented by Setics and VETRO. I'm David Norris, webinar producer here at FBA. Before we begin, I have a few quick housekeeping items just to ensure everybody has the best experience. So, as an attendee, you are in listen-only mode today. That said, we want to hear from you and want your questions. So please do type in your questions. You can do that using the questions tool, which is located in the upper right-hand side of your screen. It looks like a little quote box with a question mark. Open that up and you can type your questions in, so please do so. We also, I just want to let you know that this will be available on demand. You can access the on-demand recording of this webinar from our website, fiberbroadband.org. And that will be under the events tab and in the webinar section. So definitely go and view that or share this with other folks within your organization if you like. And finally, we have a brief feedback survey at the end of today's presentation. It's one question long, but it's super helpful. If you could take a moment just to complete that survey, we really appreciate it. And with that, we will dive right in. So the increasing demand for high-speed broadband connectivity necessitates a more efficient and collaborative approach to network design and planning. Traditional siloed and waterfall processes often lead to inefficiencies and miscommunication and costly delays. Well, Setics and VETRO have established a collaborative approach that marries network design with fiber planning and management to streamline the network cycle and accelerate broadband deployment. And today we are delighted to be joined by Richard Mook, Head of Product and Delivery at VETRO. We've also got Michael Stone joining us. He runs U.S. Business Development at Setics, and Daniel Urbina, who's a pre-sale engineer also at Setics. Rick is interim head of product and delivery at VETRO, Inc., where he leads product management, helps software teams deliver transformative fiber management solutions more rapidly. He is currently working with over 12 third parties to build cross-platform automations that reduce time to revenue and maintenance costs while increasing data quality and network value. Passionate about quality, Rick also manages the QA function at quality assurance functions at VETRO and was formerly interim head of customer success. In his spare time, he enjoys flying as a private pilot. So welcome, Rick. We appreciate having you here. Michael Stone has over a decade of global experience in new business development and partnerships with a focus on innovative products and high-tech solutions. Having led numerous successful market entry and expansion initiatives across multiple sectors, Michael is now handling U.S. business development for Setics. And we also have Daniel Urbina, who is an electronics engineer specialized in telecommunications. He has a large experience in radio communication and fiber optics research. He's been working in the fiber to the home network industry for the past 7 years. Currently, he is project manager and consultant at Setics, several projects in America, Europe, and Asia. So welcome all of you. We appreciate you joining us today. And before we jump in, we do want to just run a very brief couple of polls here to help us understand who we're speaking with and what your challenges are. So I will go ahead and put those up right now. And the first poll here, we'll launch that. Take a minute to join. And we just want to know if planning and design are aspects of your current role and your current job. Looks like we've got some numbers coming in here, and looks like plenty of people are in the right place for this. Give it another second here. Perfect. I'll close the polls on that one, and I'll share the results with you just so we can see. It looks like we've got about 71% who are saying yes, that is a part of our role, part of my role, and 29% it might not be directly part of your role, but certainly maybe with people you interact with. So still super valuable, and we appreciate you being here. And let's run one more quick poll here. We just want to learn a bit more about the challenges you face. And so what are the typical challenges that you see when it comes to planning and design? Input data quality, lack of a centralized tool, solution integration, design bottlenecks. And looking at the results coming in here, it's a nice mix. Got a lot of movement here. It looks like it's pretty balanced across all of those. And so we'll go ahead and end that poll and share those results as well. So it looks like all of those challenges resonate with our attendees here. So so I think we're on the right track for this. And with that, I'll just close up our polls here. and we will jump right in. So network operators and engineers, they face myriad challenges when designing and deploying fiber optic networks. Legacy manual tools, processes, they hinder between different stakeholders, which results in misaligned expectations and time-consuming rework. The lack of early network visualization also makes it difficult to accurately estimate a project cost and identify potential obstacles. So we're definitely interested in learning more about some of the challenges and reviewing those challenges. And Rick, I was hoping you could start us off and elaborate on some of the challenges based on your experience.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, David. And hello, everyone. Great to be with you today. So some of the problems that we want to highlight that we're seeing out there uh, really cut across the life cycle, but certainly affect design. And a lot of these stem from this rapid explosion of expansion, rather, of networks that's leading to many forms of data. This proliferation of data sources, right? Right from the get-go. We have design specs, we have construction drawings, we have as-builts, we have walkout notes, splice sheets, geospatial maps, all of these data sources that are spread really across the life cycle, and the coordination of these documents and the coordination of the people who need to use them, right? We're talking about tens of or hundreds of people even across months or years. That creates a huge data challenge. And if we just take the handoffs, right? If we just look at the handoffs in that scenario, those themselves take time, which adds cost automatically. But if there are errors or discrepancies in those handoffs, those compound over time and increase the cost of the problem as they accumulate, which exponentially increases the cost of the handoff. Um, so you can see here some of the highlights that we see a lot in this part of the life cycle. Inefficiencies around field operations. How do we get the real deal that's out there in the world incorporated back in quickly and accurately? How do we get this design that we've done moved over into the customer's system in a way that preserves its value and doesn't require a whole bunch of rework? How do we get visibility into what's actually been done? How do we incorporate construction status back into our systems and make sure that that's visible so that other systems can then do what they need to do? Um, and overall, how do we identify and solve these problems of discrepancies, legacy systems, and bottlenecks? So those are some of the challenges, the main challenges that we're highlighting for you today, and that we want to talk about some ways to address. And David, I think you're still muted.
Thank you very much. It's bound to happen to all of us sometimes, right? But thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. And speaking of design, that really brings us to Setics and their design automation tool. And Michael, I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about the tool and tell us a bit more about what Setics is providing.
Absolutely. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. As David mentioned, I'm Michael Stone. I handle U.S. business development for Setics. And since we're a newer player here in the U.S. market, I'll give a little bit of background on us. Setics was established in France nearly 25 years ago. And although we're primarily a software provider in North America, our roots are in telecom consulting with a focus on digital infrastructure for broadband networks. Setics is headquartered in Paris with a multinational team of about 70 people across R&D, sales, project management, technical service, and leadership. Through our technology and services, we've delivered over 500 projects in 40 countries. We have a direct on-the-ground presence in France, Germany, and the UK, where the company has been instrumental in supporting national fiber rollout programs. We've now been active in the US for 2 years, and just last month we officially launched our US subsidiary, Setics Inc. Today, the company's two main functions are consulting and software. On the consulting and services side of our business, which is mostly active in Europe, We do master plans, project management, we assist owners of networks and infrastructure, and we provide advisory as fiber network experts. Here in the US, our major focus is our network design automation software called Setics Star. That's Star with 2 T's, which we actually originally developed as an internal tool set to enhance our network planning capabilities in France. Of course, traditional design is very time consuming, it can be error prone, which is really what drove Setics to develop this innovative algorithmic design software. So, as a successful user of our own tool, we commercialized Star about 10 years ago during France's national fiber rollout, which I suppose was their equivalent to the BEAD program. And through that process, approximately 70 to 80% of France's fiber networks were designed using Setics Star because the majority of the winning bids and grants were based on Star designs. These days, design automation really has become a must-have. Next slide, please. Okay, Setics Star, what is it? It is a design automation software used for 2 main purposes. One is planning and decision making, and the second is design to build. So our primary users include network operators, engineering firms, system integrators, and broadband consultants. How does it work? Star will take a series of inputs, including GIS data, existing infrastructure, locations to be served, and that could be homes, it could be antennas, whatever needs to be connected to fiber. Then you have engineering rules, and then the costs associated with your selected equipment. The system automatically creates a design that determines the pathways of the network while taking into account the constraints determined by the design rules and other inputs. You'll also end up with a bill of materials and a series of analytics and reports, as well as a map that can actually visualize the results. And after you run the design, it's an iterative process and you can easily make tweaks on the map. Star is a Windows-based application that can be installed on any machine. And we also have options available to convert to the cloud. So in terms of product mix, Star Advanced Designer is our flagship product that enables users to define configurations and run projects. So we also have other ancillary products. The one I'll mention here is Star Batch Engine. And the batch engine is used to run large projects in a short period of time. Real quick, one of our favorite examples with Batch Engine is a countrywide rural design that we did in Ireland, in which we ran 210 areas in parallel, produced a giant BOM for the country, and the stats of the final project had 550,000 homes, 1.5 million poles, 7 layers of existing infrastructure, and 2 different architectures. We'd be happy to dig deeper into that case study. We also have a system called Star Planner, which is for running day-to-day smaller projects, and it's often part of a detailed design or LLD workflow. So if you look at the niche specialized category of automated design software, Star, I would say, is known for 3 things. So that's flexibility, capacity, and speed. So number 1, Star can manage designs with multiple architectures. Number 2, Star has a robust capacity to handle large projects, just as we mentioned in the Ireland example. And then number 3, Star provides very fast computation time. How fast? Just to give you an idea, we can do 500 premises in a few seconds, 40,000 premises in a single run in less than an hour, and 500,000 premises overnight through automated batch processing. Last but not least, we can easily integrate with fiber management systems and other related software products, which is why we're very excited about our dedicated partnership with VETRO. Next slide, please. Now let's take a look at high-level workflow. So we use Star through different steps in a network deployment. On the left side, we consider strategic planning to be the feasibility phase, where the operator or user needs to try different options in terms of location, engineering rules, etc. In this case, STAR is really used as a decision-making tool. It's especially useful for running cost per premise scenarios, budget planning, grant applications, etc. Then you do surveys to enhance the quality of the data and get a more precise result in the high-level design phase. And then you reach low-level design or detailed design where you're building paths to engineering requirements for actually building the network. So as a whole here, the left side of this continuum, so strategic planning and HLD, is fully automated. But when you move into the detailed engineering phase, it's typically a combination of automation with some manual processes. And one thing I'll say is, although STAR is available as an off-the-shelf product, so to speak, we often work with clients to develop what we call extended automation processes that involve data engineering, optimizing outputs. So thinking about what happens before and after the actual design is computed. And the result is a customized, seamless end-to-end process. And with that, I will hand it back to David. Hey, David, you're muted again.
Trying to not interrupt you, but thank you very much, Michael. We appreciate that. And so, Rick, let's hand things back over to you here. So, VETRO has been in the U.S. market for a while now, and I'm sure our audience already knows you. But could you share with us some updates on VETRO?
Yeah, happy to. So, as most of you are probably aware, VETRO is a modern, full-featured fiber management system. We are a fantastic system of record for fiber networks. We combine powerful design and management tools with the fact that we're built for fiber. We're built for fiber optic networks with a radically simple philosophy. So the idea is to make a tool that's easy to use, that's intuitive, that's straightforward, that enables you to do what you need to do and get going quickly and build value into your network across its life cycle. So that includes tools for network design, GIS data management, analysis, reporting. We're browser-based, cloud-hosted, and secure. And this also positions us really well to interact with partners like Setics and others, and to integrate well and take customers out of the middle, so that they don't have to manage those integrations, which is a very good thing. As you can see here, we've continued to grow at a relatively rapid clip. We now have over 11,000 users across over 300 customers in many countries, and we're adding new customers and users in countries every day. It's a very exciting time to be here. So should we move to the next slide, David? Super. Okay, so a couple of things I want to highlight about VETRO that lead into some of the solutions that we're going to discuss today. One is this notion of unity. Instead of having several different software sets or tools that you have to screen swap to manage, we're pulling things into a seamless whole. We're enabling folks to do the work that they need to do without transitioning, without handing off as much. And when we do have to have a handoff or a transition, we want it to be seamless and clean so that everything carries over. And the last one that I want to mention on this slide is this notion of truth, this notion of a system of record or an inventory. We're seeing more and more that customers are thriving and meeting their goals and accelerating their time to revenue when they have a central place that can help them thread that needle between kind of different data sets, different groups of data, right? Customer records, records around the product and what's being offered, records around the physical network and the inventory and what's out in the field and what its status is. VETRO doesn't need to hold all of those data, but there's a set that's critical, and it's the set that's critical across the life cycle of the network. And what we found is that by keeping those data in VETRO and enabling connection with other systems to marshal those data, we prevent divergence. we reduce time to revenue. This is at the design life cycle, the construction phase of the life cycle, and in operations and provisioning, lighting up new customers with a work order. All of those different phases benefit from having that core set of critical data synchronized and consolidated in one place. So what we're going to be talking about today is, and we're going to show an example of a workflow that enables things to come out of VETRO and go back in a way that reinforces that solid foundation and prevents divergence. Next slide, please. All right. Yeah, so here I want to highlight some of the ways that this actually works, and some of the further provide a little more detail on how VETRO supports this value proposition. So first off, we have this notion of time to value. If you think about all of the time that it takes to, for example, deliver a plan to a customer, only to then have to reconcile that plan with their schema, or to have to adapt that plan by wiring it into their existing network, right? All of those extra steps take time. Our estimates and research show it's between 1 and 2 weeks per design for 1 or 2 engineers. It's a real tax on the process. So seamless delivery is one of the things that VETRO offers through our plan delivery option. We talk a lot and we hear a lot about VETRO from the get-go. And what this means is that if you start with data that are in your system of record, build on those data through a process, and then reintegrate new information back into the system of record, you're already synced. So in the workflow that we're going to show very shortly, we're going to begin with a set of points from a state fabric that's been loaded into VETRO. So we're already sure from the very beginning that there's no divergence between the information that's going into our auto design tool and the information that's coming back in terms of geolocation and other attributes. And this saves, again, a tremendous amount of time for both the designer and for the customer in terms of cleanup and reconciliation of data. And the third one that I mentioned here on the left is interoperability. We're just seeing this all over the place, that customers have found themselves caught in the middle, having to build and support and maintain custom one-off integrations between their providers, between their service providers or their tools. And that may have been a good approach 10, 15 years ago. The new way forward, we think, is direct integration so that tools connect with each other seamlessly and the customer's out of the middle. This shortens time to value, it increases fidelity, it enables us to scale these solutions and provide better options for customers. All right, so let's get to the demo here. We're going to take you through, I think the next slide, David, should be the video itself. And we can go ahead and maybe rewind to the beginning there. We're going to show you what I would call an initial high-level example of this. And this is a straw man Daniel and I cooked up in our copious spare time. This is certainly not an exact representation of what a finished product would look like or what you would necessarily do. But this is VETRO, and as you can see in here, and David, I don't know if we can go back to the beginning of the video to start from the top. That'd be great. He's trying. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's showing me at the beginning of the video now.
Hey, perfect, great. So I've loaded the state fabric for the state of Vermont, my home state, dearly beloved, into VETRO Fiber Map, and we've zoomed in on a particular neighborhood here in Montpelier, Town Hill Road. Never heard of it, but there it is. So what we're going to do, let's pretend we're expanding our network out to the east from the center of town, and we're gonna provide service to Town Hill Road. Let's pretend they don't have fiber out there yet. And so, this is a standard state fabric. It's got addresses, it's got business addresses, it has poles, it has town boundaries, it has all of the kinds of things that you would expect from a state fabric. And so in this example, we're going to show how easy it is to kick a data set out of VETRO and bring it over to Setics. So as the video begins, here, you're going to see me grabbing a couple of tools in VETRO and using a lasso to just select the addresses that I want to include in my high-level design from Setics. So I'm going to lasso those, and then I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to bounce that out to a new layer in VETRO. I'll select the relevant project and plan, hit confirm, and here it goes. Fantastic. So now you're going to see me navigate in VETRO into the layers and plans view, select the relevant one, deselect the old one, and there we go. Now we have a new set of addresses that exactly match the old ones. And all I have to do is hit export. In this case, I'm going to choose a shapefile just because it's the top option. And we'll bounce that out to a file. It arrives in my downloads, and now I hand off to Daniel.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so thank you, Rick. So once you have the data and the endpoints exported from VETRO, you can import them into Star. And here we're going to configure the engineering rules of our FTTH network. First of all, here what we're going to do is to create a brownfield project. So we don't have any existing infrastructure. We are going to import the data, the roads from OpenStreetMap, right? So we can access the server in this polygon and download the data. And this will be taken directly into the software. So we can see here, it's a very simple process. And we can see the existing roads in this area. So now what we're going to do is to look at the architecture. We're going to use a typical 4-level architecture with OLT, fiber distribution hub, a vault, terminals, and the final endpoints. We are also going to use centralized splitting. So it could be 1 to 32 or 1 to 16. So the software is going to select the most suitable equipment depending on the link budget or cost. We also set up the engineering rules. For example, cables for the feeder, 288 fibers for the distribution, 48 fiber, 144, 96. And also for the drops could be either 1 fiber for single dwelling units or 12 fibers for multi-dwelling units. So once that I finish the configuration of the rules, I just create on the map the OLT location. And then I just run the software and it will calculate all the elements of the passive network in a few seconds. So you can see here that Star has created the cables, the closures, splitters, and all this. So once we have our initial design, we can use the tools, the editing tools for enhancing the design. Here, what we're gonna do is to complete the missing road for serving this endpoint. So here we create the road, then we create a terminal for this endpoint. We assign a name. So this is you can follow also some naming rules, but it's up to the user. So we have this terminal. Then we assign the parent node, so that would be the endpoint would be connected to this terminal, and then the terminal will be connected to the already created vault. So you can see how the polygons show the extent of the different service areas. So the light red would be the vault service area. We complete our editing, and then we run again, and the software will calculate, update the design, including fiber connectivity and all this. And you can see that, well, I am pleased with my design. I then go to the result tab, and we can see here a summary of all the numbers. You know, could be lines, all the closures that were created and all this. And you can access also an Excel file with a bill of materials where you have a detailed list of all the equipment. So this could be the linear, the cables, splice closures, splitter for feeder distribution, and also drops. And once you have finished this, what we're gonna do is to export this design to VETRO. So we have developed a plugin where we can access here and then download the data directly through this API. So we select also the plan and where we want to store this information. So it's the area of Montpellier in the States. And then here we complete this and we upload the project into VETRO.
Yay! So we're going to pause again, David. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Daniel. Now we're back in the VETRO world. As mentioned before, VETRO, we're finding it's a place where people are working across their stakeholders and across their collaborators to collaborate and make a better design and make a network come to life. So what we're gonna do now is show how this design comes back in, and just a couple of the quick things that we can do with it now that it's in the VETRO space, and that we're at presumably a walkout step of the life cycle. So if we go ahead and start the video again. All right. So now I'm just going to highlight the fact that all of this came over and how seamless this is. We have the whole design here in VETRO. There it is. All of the layers came over. All of the data are intact. It matches exactly the service locations that we highlighted and exported earlier. So I'm just going through to toggle and show that we can, in VETRO, work with and manipulate these layers just like we did previously. All right. And now let's presume that we have, we're moving on to the next step. We're going to send our field tech out, and they're going to look at, what's it called here? Chestnut Hill Road, which is kind of in the north central part of this region. And let's send them out with the VETRO mobile app, which has this design now in it because it came into VETRO. It's in the VETRO system. It appears in VETRO mobile. They can download this while connected online and take it out into the field with them. They can go and identify a potential issue with this design, a discrepancy between the design and what's out in the field. They can log that. They can make comments, take a picture if they need to, add copious details, and submit a change request. This change request doesn't automatically go into the system of record. Instead, you navigate to this change management area, and this enables you to review these changes. In this case, we're suggesting deleting 2 handholds that we don't really need. There are others. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and approve this change set and apply it. That's now merged. It is saved for posterity, so that you do have a trackable record of how this design was modified and who suggested the change and who approved it. We can use our VETRO tools to go in and make additional changes to this design. Just seeing here deleting something. And again, this is just a straw man, but to show you, give you a sense of what the capabilities are and how this interactivity works. And what this prevents, again, is divergence. It prevents the intrusion of inaccuracies or problems into your design and into your system of record, so that what you hand over to the customer is cleaner. So no paper, no delays, and these things all get approved by the right people. I should mention that later in the life cycle, there are many other examples of this kind of collaboration happening in VETRO. So, for example, designs can evolve over time if there are additional edits that need to be made or additional changes that need to be made. Those, again, can happen in the VETRO system. you can export to another VETRO instance with planned delivery and make sure that all of the information, including connectivity, goes over to the customer without having to reconcile the schema, without having to rework to adapt that design to its new home. And then there are other further automations and integrations downstream in construction. Getting construction status back into the system of record is a huge pain point. That's something that we've addressed. OSS integrations and automations for tackling how to get the field teams the right information to provision a drop. Those, again, are things that we tackle with this kind of collaborative use of VETRO. So that's the example.
Well, thank you, Rick and Daniel, for the interactive demo. To wrap it up, I'd like to reemphasize the advantages of a collaborative approach to automated network design with fiber planning and management, including number one, improved efficiency and scalability through interoperability, streamlined workflows, and automation. Number two, consistency and reduced costs through accurate budget estimates from the start. And number three, improved stakeholder communication through clear visualization of network designs and key analytics. If you'd like to learn more or discuss further, all of our contact info will be on the final slide. And both Setics and VETRO will be exhibiting at Fiber Connect in Nashville later this month. So if you're at the show, please come by and chat with us. We sincerely thank you all for your time. And at this point, I think David will open it up for a few questions. That's
right. We do have questions, and I remembered to unmute myself this time, so that's a plus. Thank you all. This really interesting stuff. We do have quite a few questions that came in, so let's jump right in. We'll get started reviewing some of those. This is probably a good place to start. Somebody's asking, could you tell us how to design using existing infrastructure?
Okay, so I think that I can answer that. Designing with existing infrastructure. A STAR is capable of dealing with existing chambers, existing poles. So if you have this data, you can import it into the software and even define priorities for this infrastructure. We can also deal with front easement or rear easement and all this. So it's totally possible to do it with the STAR.
Great, thank you. I believe somebody says that you mentioned supporting the BEAD program, and they'd like to know how exactly you support BEAD, what role you play in helping people navigate BEAD.
Sure, I can answer this one from the Setics side. So great question, extremely relevant right now. So the idea of that comment was to highlight that STAR provides support for the coverage analysis approach, deployment cost, et cetera, for submitting grant applications under the BEAD program. And using STAR Advanced Designer or STAR Batch Engine has already helped operators do analysis at the service provider area level, county level, or even state level, depending on the situation, to run different scenarios and find the optimal approach. And in terms of new features on the horizon, I can say that the next version of STAR will have features to help categorize premises, so underserved, unserved, and served, and be able to make custom bill of materials to prepare grant applications, among some other features we're working on.
Fantastic. Somebody's asking here, in the example you showed, in the example you showed in architecture with centralized splitting, do you also support distributed taps?
Okay, so that's a good question. So yeah, actually, as part of increasing of our activities in the States, we are always looking for ways to enhance and improve the software. So this we know that this feature is very important, especially when you work in rural areas and for the BEAD program as well. We have currently developed like a sort of workaround for modeling this architecture and also producing a bill of materials. But the feature of a distributed tab will be embedded in the system in the next few weeks. So it will be directly in the software and will produce the desired results directly.
Perfect. And we've got one here. Somebody's asking if we can provide a copy of the case study that you referenced, and we'll put that in the resources as part of the follow-up email that people will receive. So keep an eye out for that. And speaking of the future of VETRO and STAR, do you have an integration plan for the VETRO and STAR to remove the manual step of downloading and uploading projects? If so, what's the timeline?
Yeah, the short version is yes. And the second part of that question, I believe the answer is very short. We're actively working on it.
Great. And we'll just go through a few here in no particular order because we do have quite a few questions coming in, which is great. It says, in STAR, when can the user set a fiber fill factor, leaving spare fibers in case of future growth or replacement in case of damage?
Yeah, so actually you can configure in STAR the spare fibers and also even fibers themselves, or also the splitters, spare splitters also for future deployment, future rollout. You can configure that in the software. There are different strategies. You can even set up like a percentage for each fiber, a fixed number for each cable. And so it's a very, very advanced feature that we have.
And somebody else is asking if you can, if you have the option to place notes on certain terminal routes. They reference specifically the one, Daniel, that you drew in during the demo.
Yeah, so actually for the notes, there are different ways you can do it. You could import them if you already know where these nodes are. Like for example, an OLT or of a fiber distribution hub. If you know where they are, you can import them. The same way we imported the endpoints. You can also configure rules in the software for calculating them automatically following engineering rules. So this could be number of premises and maximum distance from these nodes to the endpoints. Or you can also design them on the map, like we did for in this case for the terminals. You can also draw them yourself if you want to decide where to put these nodes. So these are the possibilities we have in the software.
Great. Let's see here. So somebody's asking if VETRO and STAR are able to be used in Canada.
Yeah, we have several, actually many Canadian customers. So we're currently in active use in Canada.
Great.
So do we. Yeah.
Same with Setics.
Yeah.
And going back to the STAR solution itself, can the info be placed on different layers? For instance, show only construction to vaults, but not show drops to customers.
Okay, so for you can show the feeder distribution even when there's an export in the software. You can export only the feeder pathway, the distribution pathway. For the drops, it is necessary to connect the drops, but as they are represented in levels, you can eventually filter the drop level if you want to take it out from the design. But yeah, it's possible to do it.
All right. So bill of materials, do you recommend manufacturer parts or just a description in the bill of materials that are created? So is it for specific parts?
Yeah, well, it's a description. Actually, we have in STAR we have like a universal equipment database. Depending on each customer, each operator or customer has this information that could be even confidential, of the list of these materials. So the operator can import this list of materials in the software. So yeah, this is possible. It will take this input and then you can see it in the bill of materials.
Great. Let's see here. We've got a few more coming in. So somebody's asking if you do you work with partners and distributors or only with the end customers?
On the Setics side, I would say we have a flexible kind of multifaceted go-to-market model. So we do work directly with operators and ISPs. We work with engineering firms. We have software partnerships, and we, in some cases, have a reseller model. So the answer is yes to all of the above, depending on the situation.
And VETRO is built to operate across the entire network lifecycle, from initial high-level design and estimation and ROI analysis, as was mentioned earlier, all the way through to operating and upgrading a network.
So we have another one that's a little open-ended, but we'll allow you to expand here. They're asking you if you can describe how in-depth the engineering rules can be defined.
Sorry, was that for STAR? How in depth can the engineering rules
Sure.
be defined?
So they're asking. That's right. Yes.
Okay.
And it's a bit of an open-ended question, but just wondering if you had some, examples or additional details you could provide in terms of what sort of rules could be applied.
Can you repeat the question,
we can
David?
Take that one offline.
Yeah,
sure. It's somebody's asking, can you describe how in-depth the engineering rules can be defined?
Okay, so all the engineering rules, well, that's there are lots of things you can configure. For example, the cabling rules, the rules for which fibers can be used or could be spare fibers. The same for ducts and microducts. Also, the different levels of the network. You can specify splitters, centralized splitters in cascade. You can also model specific rules per type of end user. So could be for multi-dwelling units, single dwelling units, buildings, FTTA. So I think Michael mentioned in the presentation that you can have multiple network architectures within the same project in STAR. You can also apply specific rules per type of infrastructure. For example, if you are planning an aerial network, an aerial rollout, and you have a limit on the type of cable that you can use, you can also configure this. Let's say that up to 72 fibers aerial, and then for the underground, I could use other fibers. This could be configured. So I mean, there are many rules that you can configure in the system.
Great. I'm sure offline too, we can connect with the person who asked that question to
Sure.
see if they have specific needs in place that you could address. Let's see. We have somebody's asking if you can import data sets and layers from third-party GIS software, referencing.
I'll take that one.
Particular here, so that.
I'll take that one. We eat that for breakfast. VETRO is so good at that. That's how we, that's what we get up and do every morning is help consolidate and pull those things in. And this again is a great example of how this workflow can be very helpful and convenient, because you're not having to re-import those critical fields into all the places separately. You do it once in VETRO, and it flows through the whole rest of the life cycle and is consistent across.
All right, just a quick review here. I think we've covered most of our questions. All the questions have come in so far. If we did not get to your question, we will certainly be reviewing these offline. We have captured all the questions, so we definitely appreciate that, and appreciate all the great questions that you've provided so far. But with that, I think we can start to wrap up things. But Rick and Michael and Daniel, I just want to say thank you again for this overview and for sharing your expertise and what this type of collaboration can look like and do for the ISPs and others who have joined the call today. We're looking forward to seeing you at Fiber Connect. You can see that they're going to be at booth number 284, is that right? And VETRO is at 812. So looking forward to seeing both of you there, and we look forward to seeing a lot of our attendees who are on today joining as well. That's coming up in just a few short days, a little over a week. So definitely, if you haven't already, go out to our website and have a look at the agenda and registration there for Fiber Connect. You won't miss it. It's going to be the biggest one yet, I understand. And with that, here's a quick QR code that you can use to go out there and learn more information about not only Fiber Connect coming up, but also our regional events that we have coming up. We'll be in Des Moines in September, and I believe it's October we will be in Calgary, which we're looking forward to. First time we're going up to Canada with one of our regional shows. And finally, we'll wrap up the year in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. And of course, we have a lot of these webinars along with our weekly webinar with Gary Bolton, our CEO and president. He does his Fiber for Breakfast webinar every Wednesday morning at 10. So I encourage you to join those as well. And with that, just thank you once again to VETRO and Setics for bringing us this information and sharing it today on the webinar. And we hope to see everybody on the next one. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.